Hello, I am Mr. Cruz, and you guys have probably noticed that in District 11, as well as around the nation, schools are using a video conferencing system in order to replace what used to be the in-person learning classroom. But just like being in a physical classroom, there are certain rules that you're going to need to follow. So in this video, I'm going to go over what those rules are and how to be successful in your online class. Now, before you enter into the virtual classroom, make sure that you do these two things. First, make sure that your microphone is on mute. That rule is very similar to walking into a classroom quietly and respectfully, as opposed to walking into a classroom making noise. The second thing is to make sure that your camera over here is on. During attendance, your teacher needs to make sure that you are physically in the room and participating, or at least ready to participate. If they can't see you, they have no idea who's behind that camera. So please make sure that your camera is left on until your teacher tells you it's okay to turn it off. Similar to being in a physical classroom, please make sure that you are on time for your online class. If the class starts at 1:30, make sure you try to log in at 1:25 or whenever the earliest point is that the teacher allows you to enter into that virtual classroom. Now, the next rule deals with how you are dressed. Remember to dress appropriately, just like you would if you were actually in a physical classroom. Even though currently you are at home, you still want to be able to dress professionally. So wear a comfortable hoodie, find your favorite t-shirt, put on your favorite pair of jeans or sweatpants, anything that would still be considered school appropriate. You don't necessarily have to dress like this. This is how I dress when I am at school. You should choose clothes that are appropriate for when you are at school. Once you're in your virtual classroom and you notice that in the preview you can see like a messy room behind you and you want to get rid of all that, an option, two options really, would be to either point the camera in a different direction, maybe to a blank wall or to a closed door, or to change the background if you can find that in your settings. However, if you change your background, just stick to something simple, something like blurring the background or replacing it with a different picture. Don't go for anything that's going to be too distracting for other students. Once class starts, please make sure that you are an active participant in the class itself, which means that at the beginning of the year, when you came in to pick up your Chromebook, we also gave you all those supplies. Please use those according to what the teacher has asked you to do. If they ask you to bring your notebook, ruler, pencil, pen, whatever it is that they told you to bring, make sure you have that ready to go when the class starts. Second, find a nice area that you can work in. Remember that your teacher will probably ask you to do some writing, not just typing. So you need some sort of surface to write on, a book, a desk, a counter, all that stuff will work. Now, in a physical classroom, if you had a question or something to say, you would raise your hand, your teacher would call on you, then you would say it. However, since you're in a virtual environment and the sound is controlled through electronics, there are only really three ways to get your question across. One is to use the chat function. So on your device, if you go to the bottom and you click that little chat box, it'll open up this box on the right-hand side. Now, when you are typing in your chat, make sure that you are addressing it to the teacher. If you do it to everybody, because everybody needs to be able to hear the question, that's okay. Just make sure that it is a question that is on topic. The second way you can get your question answered is to just physically raise your hand. When your teacher sees that your hand goes up and your camera is on so that they can see your hand go up, they'll be able to call on you, but that is only if your picture is on their grid. When a teacher looks at their display, they'll be able to see all the students who have their camera on, and if they see your hand go up, they'll be able to call on you. But if there are too many students with their cameras on at that time, the pictures will appear in more than one page for the teacher to have to flip through. So it's possible that if you physically raise your hand, the teacher may not be able to see you. But that leads us to the third way to raise your hand and get your question answered. And that deals with the virtual hand raising option. Down at the bottom, if you look for these three dots, right, it's right there. It's in between the chat and the X. When you click on it, it'll allow you here at the very, very top to raise your hand. When you do that, the teacher on their screen will see a list of the participants and they'll see that your hand is raised. After that, they'll probably address you verbally and ask you to unmute your mic and ask your question or make your comment, or they will probably ask you to just write it in the chat. It's kind of up to them. So those are the basic rules of behavior, or what they refer to as netiquette. Guys, I hope this helps. Take care.